The phone rang at 2:47 a.m., cutting through the silence of my cramped apartment like a scream. I'd just finished a brutal double shift, my EMS uniform still reeking of disinfectant and human misery. The beer in my hand was my first in 3 days. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Jason? The voice wasn't my wife's. Yeah, who's this? I sat up straighter on my beaten couch, rain drumming against the windows of our northeast city neighborhood. This is Dr. Alan Pierce from Memorial Hospital. I'm calling about Tessa. Tessa was my wife of 16 years, a hospital administrator who'd been working late more and more frequently. What happened? Is she hurt? A pause. Then I heard it, Tessa's laugh in the background. Not the polite laugh she gave strangers, the intimate laugh she used to give me. Actually, she's busy right now, Dr. Pierce said, and I could hear the smirk in his voice. She asked me to call and tell you she'll be staying late again tonight. The beer bottle slipped from my fingers, shattering on the hardwood floor. 16 years of marriage, and this is how I find out. No worries, Doc, I said, my voice steady despite the rage building in my chest. She's your problem now. I hung up and blocked both their numbers. The apartment felt smaller suddenly, the walls closing in. Rain streaked down the windows like tears I refused to shed. I'd suspected something was wrong for months. The new perfume, the cold shoulder in bed, the way she'd started pronouncing certain words differently, like she was trying to sound more educated for someone. But hearing it confirmed, in such a casual, almost cruel way, ignited something dark inside me. I walked to our bedroom, my bedroom now, and pulled out the tablet we shared for household stuff. If Tessa was stupid enough to let her boyfriend call me, maybe she'd been stupid about other things too. The cloud sync was still active. Everything was there. Hotel receipts dating back 6 months. Text messages that made my stomach turn. Photos I immediately deleted from my memory. And a calendar. A secret calendar where she'd marked their meetings, their trips, even noted when I'd be working overnight shifts. Son of a jerk, I whispered. Dr. Alan Pierce, 44 years old, head of emergency medicine, divorced twice, made 3 times my salary and lived in one of those glass high-rises downtown where people like me delivered pizza or fixed their plumbing. I'd saved lives, pulled people from burning cars, performed CPR in the back of ambulances racing through traffic, held dying strangers' hands when their families couldn't get to the hospital in time. And my wife was screwing her boss because he had better health insurance and a BMW. The rage crystallized into something colder, more focused. I spent the next hour making calls, first to the bank, emptied our joint savings account, moved it to an account in my name only, then to the insurance company, canceled Tessa's car coverage, changed the locks on our front door using the emergency locksmith kit I kept for work. By dawn, I'd transferred our house deed into a trust with my sister Kayla as co-trustee. Tessa's name was off everything. My phone buzzed with texts from her number, but they were blocked. I could see the notification count climbing, 15, 20, 35 messages. At 7 a.m., I drove to Memorial Hospital. The parking garage was mostly empty except for the overnight staff's cars. I found Dr. Pierce's silver BMW in the section reserved for department heads, gleaming under the fluorescent lights like a monument to his arrogance. I pulled on my EMS gloves and got to work. The key scraped along the driver's side door with a satisfying screech. I carved "Homewrecker" into the paint, deep enough that it would need a full repaint job. Then I took one of the used condoms from the hospital's medical waste, don't ask how I knew where to find it, and left it on his windshield with a note written on hospital stationery. You break it, you bought it. J. The security cameras caught me, but I was wearing my EMS uniform. If anyone asked, I was responding to a call. The timestamp would show I was on duty. I drove home feeling lighter than I had in months. Tessa was standing on our front porch at 8:30 a.m., still wearing yesterday's clothes, pounding on the door I'd just rekeyed. Jason, open this door right now. This is my house, too. I watched from the kitchen window as she tried her key, then her credit cards, then finally called someone, probably Dr. Pierce, crying into the phone. Mrs. Myers from next door came out with her phone, recording everything. Within an hour, the video was on next door with the caption, "Paramedic locks out cheating wife, hospital drama explodes." The comments were brutal. Our neighbors had always liked me better anyway. 3 days later, the whole neighborhood knew. Hell, half the city knew. I was at the grocery store when I ran into 2 of Tessa's work friends, Janet and Carol, by the frozen foods. They gave me looks that could have flash-frozen the vegetables. "You're a real piece of work, Jason," Janet said, her arms crossed. "Tessa's staying in a hotel because of your little tantrum." "My tantrum?" I laughed, the sound echoing off the freezer cases. That's what we're calling adultery now? Carol stepped closer, her voice dropping to a harsh whisper. She made one mistake. 6 months of mistakes, I interrupted. Hotel receipts don't lie, Carol. Neither do text messages. Their faces went pale. They hadn't known I had evidence. You destroyed her car insurance, Janet accused. She could have been hurt. She could have thought about that before she decided to ride her boss instead of her husband. They stalked away, but not before I heard Carol mutter, "He's lost his mind." Maybe I had. But if so, it was the most clarity I'd felt in years. That afternoon, I met my sister Kayla at Murphy's, a dive bar near the hospital where the EMS crews hung out. Kayla was a divorce lawyer, sharp as a scalpel and twice as cutting when she wanted to be. "So," she said, sliding into the booth across from me, "you want revenge or just a warning shot? What's the difference?" "All or nothing. We take everything. The house, her pension, her reputation, or we go for damage that hurts but leaves her standing." I took a long drink of my beer. She called her boyfriend to humiliate me at 2 a.m. after 16 years of marriage. Full strike it is. Kayla opened her briefcase. "I've been doing some research on Dr. Alan Pierce. 2 divorces, both messy. First wife cited adultery. Second wife got half his assets because she caught him with a nurse. Pattern behavior." "Exactly. And here's the interesting part. He's up for department head renewal next year. The hospital board takes a dim view of workplace relationships, especially when they involve subordinates." I leaned forward. "Tessa's not his subordinate. She's administration. But she reports to people who report to people who report to him. It's a gray area, but gray areas are where careers go to die." Kayla slid a folder across the table. "Mrs. Choi, the assistant hospital administrator. She's been gunning for Tessa's job for years. Might be interested in some anonymous tips about expense account irregularities." "What irregularities?" "The ones where Tessa's been charging personal expenses to her departmental budget. Hotel stays, dinners, even some of those shopping trips she claimed were for conference materials." I stared at the receipts Kayla had somehow obtained. "How did you—" "You don't want to know. The question is, what do you want to do with this information?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Dad, it's Chloe. Mom gave me a new phone. Can we talk?" Chloe. My 15-year-old daughter, caught in the middle of this mess. I'd been so focused on revenge, I'd barely thought about how this was affecting her. "I need to go," I told Kayla. "Chloe wants to talk?" "Jason." Kayla grabbed my arm as I stood. "Whatever you're planning, be smart about it. Don't let anger make you stupid." Too late for that, I thought. I met Chloe at the park near her high school. She looked older than 15, sitting on the swing set with her long brown hair hanging in her face. She had Tessa's eyes but my stubborn chin. "Dad, what's going on? Mom won't tell me anything except that you're being unreasonable." I sat on the swing next to her. "Your mother's been having an affair, Chloe, with her boss. I found out and decided I wasn't going to pretend everything was fine." Chloe was quiet for a long time, dragging her feet in the dirt. "I know," she finally said. "You know? I'm not stupid, Dad. She's been different for months. New clothes, new perfume, always on her phone. And she's been mean to you, really mean." The anger I'd been carrying shifted, becoming something protective and fierce. "I'm sorry you had to see that." "Are you getting divorced?" "Probably." "Good." The word came out sharp and bitter. "She doesn't deserve you." That night, I made my first anonymous call to Mrs. Choi. The hospital fundraiser gala was held every October at the Riverside Convention Center, a glittering affair where doctors and administrators patted themselves on the back for their charitable work while drinking wine that cost more than most people's monthly rent. I wasn't supposed to be there, but I'd bought a ticket online using a fake name, put on my one good suit, and walked in like I belonged. The ballroom was full of people I recognized from Tessa's work stories. Department heads, board members, the mayor, and various local celebrities who donated money to get their names on plaques. I spotted Tessa immediately. She was wearing a red dress I'd never seen before, probably bought with money from our joint account before I'd emptied it. She was standing near the bar with Dr. Pierce, both of them laughing at something on his phone. They looked comfortable together. Happy, even. That was about to change. I worked my way through the crowd, nodding to people who looked familiar until I was close enough to hear their conversation. "And then he actually keyed your car," Tessa was saying, giggling like a teenager. "I can't believe I was married to someone so petty." "Petty?" Dr. Pierce swirled his wine. "The man's unhinged. You should get a restraining order." "I'm considering it. My lawyer says—" "Excuse me." I stepped into their circle, smiling like I'd just run into old friends. Dr. Pierce, right? I don't think we've been properly introduced. The color drained from both their faces. Jason, Tessa hissed, what are you doing here? Supporting the hospital, of course. I work closely with Memorial. Probably saved more lives in your ER than the good doctor here has in the past year. Dr. Pierce straightened his tie, trying to look authoritative. I think you should leave. Why? This is a public event. I bought a ticket. I pulled out my phone and opened the camera app. Actually, I thought I'd document the evening. You know, for social media, people love behind-the-scenes content from hospital galas. Put that away, Tessa snapped, but her voice was shaky. What's wrong? You two look great together. Very professional. I angled the phone to get them both in frame. Say cheese! Dr. Pierce lunged for my phone, but I'd spent years dealing with aggressive drunks and violent patients. I sidestepped easily, and he stumbled into a server carrying a tray of champagne glasses. The crash was spectacular. Glass shattered, champagne splashed, and suddenly half the ballroom was staring at our little drama. Oh no, I said loudly. Dr. Pierce, are you all right? Maybe you should slow down on the drinking. The murmur of conversation around us stopped entirely. You son of a jerk, Dr. Pierce snarled, champagne dripping from his tuxedo. Language, doctor. There are donors present. I turned to the growing crowd of onlookers. Sorry, everyone. Just a little workplace tension. You know how it is when people can't keep their professional and personal lives separate. Tessa grabbed my arm. Stop it. Right now. I looked down at her hand, then back at her face. Don't touch me. You lost that right when you decided to screw your boss. The gasps from the crowd were audible now. I could see phones coming out, people starting to record. That's enough, a new voice said firmly. Mrs. Choi appeared beside us, her expression ice cold. Dr. Pierce, Mrs. Martinez, perhaps you should leave. We're not going anywhere, Dr. Pierce said, trying to salvage his dignity. This man is harassing us. This man, Mrs. Choi said coolly, is a respected paramedic who saved countless lives. You, on the other hand, are creating a scene at a charity event while intoxicated. I'm not... The champagne on your clothes suggests otherwise. Mrs. Choi's smile was razor-sharp. Security will escort you out. As hospital security approached, I leaned close to Tessa. This is just the beginning, I whispered. Then I walked away, leaving them to deal with their public humiliation while I slipped out a side exit. The video was on social media within an hour. By morning, it had been shared hundreds of times with captions like hospital drama and when workplace affairs go wrong. But that was just the warm-up act. 2 weeks later, everything fell apart for them at once. Mrs. Choi's anonymous investigation into departmental expense accounts had uncovered what she was looking for. Tessa was suspended pending a full audit of her spending. Dr. Pierce was facing questions about his relationship with a subordinate and whether it constituted a conflict of interest. The local medical gossip network was brutal. In a city this size, everyone in healthcare knew everyone else, and scandal traveled faster than a virus. I was restocking supplies in the EMS garage when my partner Mike Rodriguez, I can't use that name. My partner Mike Sullivan came over with a shit-eating grin. Dude, your ex-wife is famous, he said, showing me his phone. Someone leaked her fake MBA certificate. Her what? Turns out she never actually finished her master's degree. Been lying about it for 8 years. HR is freaking out because they hired her based on qualifications she doesn't have. I stared at the screen. Tessa's resume was displayed alongside a screenshot of her incomplete transcript from the university. She'd been 3 credits short of graduation, but had been claiming the degree anyway. Who leaked this? Mike shrugged. Anonymous tip to the hospital board. Same person who's been feeding them information about her expense account. I hadn't leaked the degree information, which meant someone else was playing this game. My phone rang. Chloe. Dad, I need to see you. It's important. We met at our usual spot in the park. Chloe looked nervous, fidgeting with her phone. I have to tell you something, she said, about Mom and Dr. Pierce. Chloe, you don't need to... Yes, I do. She took a deep breath. I'm the one who's been leaking information to Mrs. Choi. I stared at her. What? I've been Mom's phone contact for months. She thinks I'm on her side, so she tells me things. About the fake degree, about the expenses, about their plans. Chloe's voice was steady, but her hands were shaking. I've been passing it all to Mrs. Choi through an anonymous email account. Chloe, why? Because she destroyed our family. The words exploded out of her. She threw away 16 years of marriage for some asshole in a BMW? And then she had the nerve to call you unreasonable? I pulled my daughter into a hug, feeling her shake against my chest. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. Someone had to make her pay. That evening, Tessa called me from yet another new number. We need to talk, she said without preamble. Face to face. I don't think that's a good idea. Jason, please. This has gone too far. Alan's career is ruined. I might lose my job. Can't we work something out? The desperation in her voice was almost satisfying. Almost. Where? The parking lot behind Murphy's. 1 hour. I got there first and waited in my truck. The October air was cold, and the streetlights cast long shadows between the buildings. This part of the city was mostly warehouses and dive bars, the kind of place where people came to disappear for a while. Tessa arrived in a rental car. Her BMW was probably still in the shop getting the key scratches fixed. She looked terrible. Her hair was unwashed, her makeup smeared, and the confident woman I'd married was nowhere to be seen. Thank you for coming, she said, getting into my passenger seat. Talk. I made a mistake, a terrible, stupid mistake. But this vendetta of yours is destroying innocent people. Innocent? I laughed. Alan knew you were married. You knew you were married. Where's the innocence in that? He's going to lose his medical license, Jason. The board is investigating him for ethics violations. Good. And I'm probably going to be fired. 16 years of work, gone. Should have thought about that before you decided to play house with your boss. Tessa was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. I know you hate me. I understand that. But please, don't destroy Alan. He's a good doctor. He saves lives. So do I. Didn't stop you from cheating on me. What do you want? Money? The house? I'll give you whatever you want if you just stop this. I looked at her, really looked at her, and felt nothing. No love, no hate, just emptiness where 16 years of marriage used to be. I want you to understand what you did, I said quietly. You didn't just cheat on me, Tessa. You humiliated me. You had your boyfriend call me at 2 a.m. to rub it in my face. You made me into a joke. I never meant. You meant every bit of it. And now you're facing consequences and suddenly it's gone too far? I shook my head. You're not sorry you cheated. You're sorry you got caught. That's not true. Then why are you here trying to save Alan's career instead of trying to save our marriage? She didn't have an answer for that. Get out of my truck, Tessa. Jason, please. Get out. She climbed out slowly, then leaned down to the window. This isn't over. Yes, it is. You just don't know it yet. The confrontation came 3 days later, but not from Tessa. I was leaving the EMS station after a shift when 4 people approached me in the parking lot. Dr. Pierce, Tessa, and 2 other hospital employees I didn't recognize, probably friends of theirs trying to show solidarity. We need to talk, Dr. Pierce said. He looked like hell, unshaven, his usually perfect hair messy, his expensive clothes wrinkled. No, we don't. You've destroyed my career, he continued, blocking my path to my truck. 15 years of medical practice gone, because you couldn't handle your wife leaving you for a better man. The other 3 spread out slightly, trying to intimidate me. It might have worked on someone who hadn't spent years dealing with violent drunks and drug addicts in back alleys. She didn't leave me for a better man, I said calmly. She cheated on me with her boss. There's a difference. You're pathetic, one of the hospital employees said. A nurse named Jennifer, according to her badge. Tessa's twice the person you'll ever be. Tessa's a liar and a cheater, and apparently she picks friends who are just as classy as she is. That's enough, Tessa snapped. Jason, I'm warning you. You're warning me? I laughed. What are you going to do, Tessa? Cheat on me again? Oh, wait, we're not married anymore. I filed the papers yesterday. Her face went white. You what? Irreconcilable differences. Adultery. Fraud regarding financial assets. I smiled. Kayla says it'll be final in 60 days. Dr. Pierce stepped closer, his hands clenched into fists. You son of a jerk. You've ruined everything. I didn't ruin anything. You ruined it when you decided to screw my wife. I just made sure everyone knew about it. He swung at me then, a clumsy roundhouse punch that telegraphed itself from a mile away. I'd been boxing since I was 12, and my reflexes were still sharp from years of emergency medicine. I ducked easily, and his momentum carried him past me. He stumbled, caught himself against my truck, and spun around with murder in his eyes. Alan, don't, Tessa said, but it was too late. He came at me again, and this time I didn't just dodge. I caught his wrist, twisted it behind his back, and slammed him face first against the side of my truck. Here's the thing about being a paramedic, I said conversationally, holding him in place. We learn a lot about human anatomy, pressure points, nerve clusters, exactly how much force it takes to break bones. "Let him go," Jennifer screamed. "I'm going to release you now," I told Dr. Pierce, "and you're going to walk away, because if you ever come near me again, I'll make sure everyone knows about your little prescription problem." I felt him stiffen. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Sure you don't. Oxycodone, Adderall, Xanax. Funny how many pills go missing from your department, and funny how you never seem tired despite working double shifts." I let him go and stepped back. He turned around slowly, his face pale. "You can't prove anything." "I don't have to prove anything. I just have to ask the right questions to the right people. Mrs. Choi seems very interested in departmental irregularities these days." The four of them exchanged glances. They'd come here expecting to intimidate me, and instead, they'd walked into a trap. "This isn't over," Dr. Pierce said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Yes, it is." I got into my truck and rolled down the window. "Oh, and Tessa? I emptied Chloe's college fund yesterday. Don't worry, the money's safe. It's in a trust she can access when she turns 18, but you can't touch it." I drove away, leaving them standing in the parking lot. That night, I got a call from Mrs. Choi. "Mr. Martinez," she said, "I thought you should know. Dr. Pierce has submitted his resignation, effective immediately." "And Tessa?" "Mrs. Martinez's employment has been terminated. The expense account irregularities were quite extensive, and the false degree claim constituted fraud in her hiring. Thank you for letting me know. There's one more thing. The hospital board has voted to offer you a commendation for your years of service to Memorial. Your professionalism during this difficult personal situation has been noted and appreciated." After I hung up, I sat in my kitchen, in my house, and opened a beer. The apartment was quiet, except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic. My phone buzzed with a text from Chloe. "Dad, I heard about Mom and Dr. Pierce. Are you okay?" I typed back, "I'm fine, sweetheart. Justice has a way of working itself out. Can I come live with you full time? Whenever you want. This is your home, too." 3 months later, the divorce was final. Tessa had tried to fight it, but the evidence of adultery was overwhelming, and her lies about her education had destroyed her credibility with the court. I kept the house, the truck, and my pension. She got her clothes and whatever was left in her personal checking account, about $300. Dr. Pierce left town after his medical license was suspended pending investigation. The prescription audit had found exactly what I'd suspected, and his career was over. Tessa moved back in with her parents in another state. Chloe chose to stay with me. 6 months after that, I was promoted to EMS supervisor. The pay raise was nice, but more importantly, it meant I could work regular hours and be home for dinner with my daughter every night. We were eating pizza and watching a movie when Chloe asked, "Dad, do you ever regret what you did to Mom?" I thought about it for a long moment. "No," I said finally. "I regret that she made choices that forced me to do it, but I don't regret protecting myself and you." "Good," Chloe said, reaching for another slice of pizza. She had it coming. On a warm evening in May, almost a year after that phone call that changed everything, I was sitting on my front porch when Mrs. Myers came over with a plate of cookies. "Jason," she said, settling into the chair next to mine, "I hope you don't mind me saying, but you look happier than I've seen you in years." I looked around at my neighborhood, really looked at it. The tree-lined street, the modest houses with their small yards, the kids playing in the distance. It wasn't fancy, but it was real. It was honest. "I am happier," I said. "Turns out removing toxic people from your life is better than therapy." Mrs. Myers laughed. "You know, I never liked that wife of yours. Too good for the rest of us, always putting on airs." "She wasn't putting on airs," I said. "She was just trying to be someone she wasn't. And when that didn't work, she decided to find someone who would pretend along with her. Well, good riddance. You and Chloe are better off without her." That night, after Chloe had gone to bed, I sat in my kitchen and wrote a letter I never intended to send. "Dear Tessa," it began, "I hope you found whatever it was you were looking for when you decided to destroy our marriage. I hope it was worth losing your daughter's respect, your career, and any chance at a decent future. I hope Dr. Pierce was everything you thought he was, and I hope you're happy with what you chose. I'm not writing this to hurt you or to gloat. I'm writing this because I need you to understand something. I didn't destroy your life. You did. Every consequence you faced was the direct result of choices you made. I just refused to pretend those choices didn't matter. You called me petty, unreasonable, pathetic. Maybe I was. But I was also right. And in the end, that's what mattered. Emma, I'm not angry anymore. I'm not hurt. I'm just grateful that I found out who you really were before I wasted any more years on you. Take care of yourself, Tessa, and next time you decide to cheat on someone, maybe don't have your boyfriend call them at 2 a.m. to rub it in their face. I folded the letter and put it in my desk drawer, next to the divorce papers and the commendation from the hospital board. Then I went to bed in my house, in my room, in my life that was finally completely my own.